In today's show, we look back at all of the action from Monday. Rests, shutdowns in Indiana, the same in Washington, big performances across the NBA with big guys and interesting players stepping up that might be options for us in fantasy. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So we're going to look at the action. There were 8 games on Monday. We've got quite a bit to get to. I'm probably not going to waste any time, but we'll see. I might.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right, some updates we need to pay attention to. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander twisted his ankle in Sunday's game. He said it felt pretty bad. He returned to the game. He played it out, but he is listed questionable for Wednesday or Tuesday. They are undoubtedly going for this play-in spot. They are in prime position to make the play-in. So if there's any chance that he plays, he will. But their next 2 games are against the Hornets and the Pistons. It is a back-to-back. So there is a significant chance they can win maybe without Shai against 2 teams who are trying to lose. Although the Hornets have no incentive to win or lose. The Pistons maybe want to keep losing. So I could see a sit here for Shai. This is the last of their back-to-backs. He's banged up, and they're against 3 absolutely piss-poor teams in a row. Hornets, Pistons, Pacers. Now, they have to win them, but could they? There is a risk, right? But it really depends on how he is, because you want him to play against the Suns, Warriors, Jazz, Grizzlies to end the season. You need him in those games and obviously in the playoffs. So it is a bit of an interesting decision coming up as to how this ankle responds and how they respond to it. In Indiana, Tyrese Haliburton, Miles Turner, to a lesser extent Buddy Hield. Is this it for them? Turner sat his 2nd consecutive game, wasn't a back-to-back. He's dealing with the old back spasms, one of the best injuries that you can list for tanking, whereas Tyrese Haliburton is dealing with ankle soreness. Soreness, also one of the best injuries you can list for tanking.
Fake.
The level of information I have on this is nowhere near the level of information I have on Portland. Like, I could very clearly tell you, and I did, that those Portland guys weren't going to play with 99% probability. This one is not like that. I do have spoken to people, and they're under the assumption that these players look fine. They're moving okay. There's no actual injury problem here. And the analogy is the situation with Malcolm Brogdon on this team last season. They've given all they can. They've put up a pretty strong fight, but let's see if we can get an extra 2, 3, 4 percentage points luck in the lottery situation by sitting some guys. I don't know that applies to Buddy Hield. I'm also really not expecting Chris Duarte to play here with the persistent ankle problems. I don't know whether Haliburton and Turner are going to be out, so it is a huge risk to drop them. They do play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, though. But we're talking about a 1st and 3rd round guy, or 1st and 2nd round guy here in Haliburton and Turner. So you would play them on the high volume days. The problem is, like, if you wait, you miss out on the juicy pickup of Isaiah Jackson, of Jalen Smith, of TJ McConnell, of Andrew Nembhard, of Evan Mathurin. Like, all these guys are going to be 12-team league guys, maybe throw Nwora into the mix as well. But we just don't know. You would suggest that it doesn't make a ton of sense for these guys to play. There's 6 more games left for the season. They play the Bucks on Wednesday. They really can't make the play-in. I guess theoretically they could win every game. Everyone else could lose every game. They sort of can't do it, though. And Haliburton has a legitimate ankle problem that he came back for and weirdly played that back-to-back, and I don't know why. And they're losing every game here by 20 points. So if I had to guess, I'd say they're done. But I don't know that. I'm more confident without I have no information, have no one to talk to on the Wizards side of things, about Beal and Kuzma. Kuzma has a legitimate injury. Beal's is maybe not so legitimate, but there is almost no way they're playing the rest of the season, is my guess. And you can feel more confident in using their replacements, although Gafford is questionable for tomorrow now, but Avdia, you really pump in there. You look at Delon Wright, you look at Corey Kispert, you look at Daniel Gafford, and then maybe you go down to Johnny Davis if Monte Morris and Daniel Gafford happen to sit tomorrow. If Gafford and Morris sit tomorrow, then yeah, the tank's on. Beal and Kuzma, there's no way they're playing. On positive news, Norman Powell is going to return within the next 3 games. At some point on their road trip, he's going to play. and they're going to run a 9-man rotation, which means that Bones Highland will not play when Powell returns. Highland's getting good run now, but basically all of the Highland minutes will go on to Powell. That's how it will work. Covington won't play unless Morris remains out, but Powell will take Bones' minutes. Be aware of that, and we'll talk about Bones in a second. Interestingly, Ja Morant, doubtful for tomorrow. So, Tyus Jones, we're back in business. Luke Kennard, we're back in business. Great stream value for Tuesday. Gordon Hayward's doubtful. Is this the end for him? That one seemed to come out of nowhere, so maybe he's done for the year. I don't know what to expect. Rozier's out. Okay, that's cool. We understand he's done, I'm pretty sure. Oubre is questionable. They upgraded him to questionable last game and then he didn't play. I'd have to expect he is out as well, but I don't know. And then there is Hayward, who's doubtful. So I would think that Hayward, Rozier, and Oubre are all out, but they could do something stupid. Like, I don't know, maybe invent like a situation where you just rotate guys in out of every 3 games. I don't know. It's probably not something the Hornets would go for. Hang on a second. I'm just being told now that's what they're doing with their centers. Mark Williams is out tomorrow because they're going to rotate the 3 centers and play 2 of them in a game. At least they're not playing 3 centers every game to completely annoy us. But Williams will be out Tuesday, and it'll be Richards and Jones playing that game. And then on Friday, Jones won't play, and it'll be Williams and Richards. And we're going to go with that for the remaining 6 games of the season, which, given that means that each of these players, Jones, we don't care about that much. It's more for Richards and Williams that they are playing 2 games this week and 2 games next week, then we don't need to bother with that. If they're available on days when we've got open roster spots, we stream them in. But Williams is obviously good enough to be useful, but with 2 games, he's not. And the 2 games coming on 13 game days, we don't care. We'll find somebody else. We'll get someone else to play Tuesday, to play Thursday, to play Saturday. We'll get a Pelicans guy in. And the same with Richards. We stream him in. Tomorrow, brilliant opportunity to stream in Big Dick Nick. But, are you going to use him on Friday? Probably, almost definitely not. Are you going to use him on Sunday? He won't even play on Sunday. The Hornets rotation, center decision, it's happening, and it's annoying. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NCAA tournament is heating up, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's right. It's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. You can wager on everything from the money line, the point spreads, and even which team is going to be cutting down the nets. Do we actually care about which team is cutting down the nets? Yeah, let's go and have a look. Let's do some college basketball odds. What are our odds here for the national champion in the men's? We've got Florida Atlantic at plus 600. Connecticut is very much the favorite, minus 125. And San Diego State next is plus 360. What about the women's? What have we got here? Ohio State. Oh, that's a live line. Do we even have the... I don't have the national championship for the women's up at this point. But that's fine, because I'll do it after that game, I'm guessing. So go over there, go to FanDuel.com, and you can wager on whatever you want. An app that's safe, it's secure, and it's super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Let's look at the waiver wire, the most added players over the last 24 hours or so. Number 1 on that list, most added players, is old Drew Eubanks. Yes, he should be added, very clearly. Him and Sharp, very clear ads. Watford, we'll talk about in a second. Bones Highland up 22%. Yes, I get it, because we have a game today for them. But as I said, he is going to be droppable later in the week when Norman Powell returns. For now, there's 20 minutes there possible for him. Some good scoring. It's a decent opportunity. All right, I'm not overly excited, but it's just not going to last. Marvin Bagley up 14%. For as horrendous as those lineups are, they are pumping an insane amount of minutes into Marvin Bagley, and it's making him worthwhile. And it's going to make people believe that he is the answer, or whatever the question is. What's the question or answer? The worst player that you could pair with Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey? Maybe that's the answer. Try again. Maybe that's the question they're asking. Regardless, Bagley, yes, should be added, is what I'm trying to say. Kobe White up 13%. No Caruso today. White's playing well anyway. Great as a short-term stream guy. The Duck, Luke Kennard up 11%, 14 threes in his last 2 games, and now Ja Morant is out again tomorrow, so he'll get those mid-20s minutes. Now, we don't expect that level of three-point shooting, because despite being literally the best three-point shooter percentage-wise in the NBA the last 2 seasons, Kennard doesn't get up a huge amount of threes, or as many as he should. He should be throwing them up like Isaiah Joe, and he has the last 2 games. So let's hope that continues. Josh Richardson up 10%. Well, we all know that the Pelicans' schedule was amazing. 4 quality games this week, one of those today. So you've already missed one if you haven't added him, but I still think he's a strong add for the 3 more games this week. Grayson Allen up 8%. You got value out of him today. They play a back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday, so there's enough value there, especially with doubts surrounding Giannis and Drew Holiday for Wednesday. No guarantee that those guys play in that game, and I don't expect Chris Middleton plays in Wednesday either because it is a who they got? They got a piss-poor opponent. I think it's the Bucks. No, they are the Bucks. I think it's the Pacers. Yeah, they play the Pacers Wednesday, Celtics Thursday, so I'd expect Middleton to sit on Wednesday, enabling Allen to have more value. And then Bruce Brown up 7%. I'm going to guess that's just as a stream option for today's game against the Sixers. In terms of the most dropped players, well, look at that guy at number 1. He's going to be most added players tomorrow. Big Dick Nick Richards down 29%, but I totally get it. Dropping him after being a DMP yesterday makes sense. And then we saw this news come out, which, again, makes no sense. So, yeah, with only 2 games on, all you do is stream him for tomorrow when he's going to start, and you drop him and you add him back in a game where Williams is out again. Royce O'Neal down 20%. Day'Ron Sharpe down 10%. The Nets have a terrible schedule this week. Their value was in their good schedule last week. You move on from them. Trendon Watford down 13%. Now, I know he's out today with a hurt ankle. I probably would have held on to him. I think there's like top 70 value here in Trendon if he actually returns to play, and I think he will. I would have liked to have held on one more game there. DiVincenzo and Kuminga down 12 and 11% respectively. Absolutely, totally okay. The thing you're going to run into here is they play tomorrow, and there's only 6 games on tomorrow, and the Warriors are one of them. So out of who is available, you might be actually re-adding them for one game. But as a long-term thing, no. And then Sadiq Bey and Bogdan Bogdanovic, 2 guys that I was pretty keen on dropping this week. Only 3 games, limited roles. Probably don't need to roster those guys. Which, so, yeah, totally on board with that drop move. Let's look at the first game. The Dallas Mavericks get back on track with a big win. 127-104 against that team, the Pacers, who may or may not be tanking. They are. Irving, 16, 3 and 6, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Amazing game from Kyrie. While Luka played 28 minutes after his suspension was reversed. 25, 7 and 6 with 4 threes. He's still just 1 tech away from a suspension. But as you can see, he played 28 minutes and Kyrie played 30. That is how out of control this game was. So while we look at this and go, holy shit, Jaden Hardy scored 20 points. He played 24 minutes with Kyrie and Luka there. He had 3 steals. He hit 4 threes. Yes, all that is true. But we also got 18 fewer minutes than we'd normally get out of Irving and Doncic. They'd play 37 a night normally. We didn't get that in this one. So I don't know if Hardy's going to play that much. We got, Hardaway playing 24 minutes only. You got Joshy Green playing 21. So Hardy can be a point streamer, and I wish they would have just lent into him a lot more this season. I think this might be slightly anomalous. Christian Wood played 12 minutes. You want to talk red flags? Huge. 2 games in a row, under 20 minutes. There was no Maxi Kleber in this one. We saw his minutes push up and stay in mid-20s next to Kyrie and Luka, which was a little strange. Now they've just said, no, we're just not playing you, my guy. So if you want to drop him, look, Kleber's going to return next game. So I'm not sure what that means for Wood. I don't think it's good. So if you want to move on, get it. Do it. Timmy Hardaway, 13 points, 2 threes. Reggie Bullock, 11 points, 3 threes. They're just emergency streamers for threes. Points a little bit there with Hardaway also. Well, Dwight Powell played only 3 minutes last game, went up to 12 here, and obviously his value is waning. For the Pacers, talked a lot already about Haliburton, Turner, and Hield and Duarte and their potential for the rest of season value. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we grab Timothy John. 28 minutes for McConnell, 15, 5, and 7, 2 steals. Now, I guess he is at risk of sitting at some point as well, but I don't think they've just got enough players to do that. Mathurin really took on some extra usage. Pretty good game from him. 26, 4, and 2 for Humpty Dumpty with a steal and a block. His value struggles when he has to start next to Haliburton, but as like a number 1 guy here, maybe we get some volume in. Andrew Nembhard, 17, 5, and 5. If they're all out, Nembhard's a 12-teamer. And they started Jalen Smith over Isaiah Jackson, but they both played 24 minutes. Smith had 11 and 6, which is okay. Jackson had 8 and 12 with a steal and a block on 36%. Jackson is still my pick over Smith. There is a distinct possibility that they just rotate those guys starting. 2 games Smith, 2 games Jackson. But I don't actually care that much if Turner's going to be out because they will both play 20-plus minutes nearly every night would be my guess. And that's enough. I still have Jackson over Smith, but that's enough for both of those guys to be 12-team options. 31 minutes for Nwora, 13 and 9 with 2 threes. I'd find it hard to see Nwora as a 12-team must if Hield plays because they're both sort of, offense-only shot jackers. And I don't think there's probably enough there for Nwora if Bud does play, but I don't know where the Bud is. So Nwora's okay to look at. Nesmith, man, this guy, the most inconsistent bloke in the world. In fact, I know Jay Crowder. I know PJ Washington. let's make it a threesome.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
4 points on 10% shooting. Shout out to Midwest Ellen Brooks Lou Dort. That is just horrendous. And he does this often. And then he'll go 20 points on 6 of 7 shooting. Or something I'll do like 6 of 4. Something I hit more shots than he takes. Just something out of the blue. The minutes are great, but bloody hell, he is wildly inconsistent. Making it real. I'd rather Nwora, Nembhard, Mathurin, McConnell, Jackson, Smith over Neesmith. I just don't trust anything that he does at all on a consistent basis. It's just not there for me. The Bucks get over the line against the Pistons, 126-117. I guess they get over the line. It was 9 points here. The Bucks were without Giannis and Drew, so they did what they needed to do with their 2 best players out, or maybe Brook Lopez is their second best player. He had 35 minutes, 24-14, a steal and 2 blocks for Brookie. Just huge. He continues to be absolutely amazing. While Punch Bob Portis, healthy team, not rosterable. Someone out, big numbers. 21-14, 3 threes. Great, love it. So with doubt now surrounding Giannis again for Wednesday because it's a back-to-back, and Middleton, you just roll with him. Middleton was great, 34, 8, and 5. It's been a painful situation for him this season, but he's 40th over the last week and starting to come together. Grayson Allen, he's just not very good, except when you get these 3 games in 4 nights. 7 points, not really good, but 2 threes, a steal, 7 assists. Actually solid. Solid enough as a volume streamer for 3 games in 4 nights. It's what he brings. What is he ranked this season? 156th. Like on the outside of a 12-team league, but when you get the volume boost, he pushes in. And that's what we got here. Jingle and Joe didn't do much while Connaughton had 7 and 5. But Javon Carter, the other one to watch here. There is some doubt whether Drew returns on Wednesday. Javon had 22 points with 6 dribbles. Not much else going on there. But he can be at least a streamer there. For the Pistons, they continue their insane starting lineup of Bagley and Wiseman while Duren comes off the bench. The insanity of bringing Duren off the bench again, I don't get it. He's clearly the best of those guys. But at least he played 28 minutes here. 18 and 10, 73% shooting for Duren. Yeah, their schedule and their rotation does make it frustrating. But I would much rather have Duren over Wiseman, even though the other one's starting. Because now they play a 10, 13, 13 game day, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. As for Bagley, another big minute game for him. 36 minutes, 16 and 9. Pretty good numbers. Like, we roster him. He's okay at the moment. And Jaden Ivey had a cracker as well. 32, 8 and 8. 11 or 12 from the line is gigantic. Now, he's usually not reliable there at all. And he was 47 from the field. Let's hope that he's able to keep that up because he had struggled prior to this game. Let's hope he keeps it up moving forward. Speaking of struggling, it wasn't a good Killian Hayes game. 14 points on 17 shots. That's yikes. Didn't hit a 3, but what Hayes does, assists 5, steals 2. Well, you're really confident you're going to get them from him, which gives him a baseline of reliability. Isaiah Livers started because Rocket Rodney Magruder's foot was sore.
Rocket, we can't think. Sorry, mate. Come on.
No idea whether Magruder's going to play again, but with Livers back, I would suggest that he might be done. Livers had 9 and 6. It's just not good enough for 12-team leagues, and Wiseman 14 and 6. It can be a 12-teamer, but he's probably on the outside. We still got 24 useless minutes out of Corey Joseph for reasons that I don't understand, while Eugene Marie just the 14 minutes for 7 points for him. The next game we look at is the Houston Rockets. This was a pretty big blowout, as the New York Knicks go 137-115 for the victory here. The Rockets, credit to them, they just keep playing their guys good minutes. And Jayshawn Tate continues to be out, and I think Jayshawn Tate will continue to be out for the rest of the season.
Even the wild things going well, I can't do much about that.
Yeah, you can't do much about that, Jayshawn, because Tari Eason's getting 28 minutes, 13 and 8 with 2 steals. That's what he needs. He needs 28 minutes, he needs Tate out, and it's happening. KJ Martin, 18 and 6, strong numbers, while Jabari Smith Jr. played 30 minutes. Would have liked a few more.
Smitty.
But 14, 11, and 6 assists. What's that? Where's that coming from? And a steal and a block. Not bad. While Kevin Porter rebounded from yesterday's stinker to have 26 points with 4 assists on 57%. Everything I said about Kevin Porter remains absolutely my thoughts, but this was a much better game. Jalen Green, we talked about it yesterday. Is he going to fool us with these late season games? No, we're back to normal here. 19 points on 36% with 4 assists and a steal. Not good enough. At least he got to the line a ton, and that is an impressive thing, getting to the line that much. And it's part of the reason why we are pretty bullish on someone like Mathurin and Paolo moving forward in terms of developing into high-level players, because getting to the line as a young player is a really key skill. And we're seeing that from Jalen at the moment. Some of it's to do with the team that he's on, obviously, but getting there and converting them at the moment is helpful. And he remains a 12-team guy. Not a great little run of things here from Şengün,
It's a delicate dance in just 17 steps.
I wouldn't say he played particularly well, but he's also sort of struggling with both Porter and Green there. And a lot of his big numbers came when Porter was out. 11, 5, and 1. Probably does need the ball to run through him to be at his absolute optimal. And with Porter on this team, that will never happen. He needs like a real team where these two guards just don't take over everything. Will that be better for them? I don't know. But that is sort of what we're seeing here, getting a little bit more evidence that is what Şengün actually needs to be the optimized version of himself. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson surprisingly was out. Last time he was out was Thursday. I thought he would have been back here, but no, he's still gone with that hand issue. So they started Immanuel Quickley. He only had to play 30 minutes. He had 40 points with 9 assists on 78% shooting. What an absolutely astonishing game. And this will make people say, yes, he is the sixth man of the year. It is so bizarre to me that you can have an award for the best player coming off the bench, yet the player who is going to surge into favoritism today to win that award, the only time he surges into favoritism is when he doesn't come off the bench. An absolutely ridiculous notion. Now, I know they've got to come off the bench a certain amount of games to have this impact, but surely when we're looking at their numbers, we should look at what impact did they have coming off the bench. Not like, hey, you were awesome when you started, but you were sort of middling coming off the bench, therefore you're the best bench player. That doesn't make any sense to me, but it's what's going to happen. If Brunson remains out, he's going to put up huge numbers as a starter, and he's going to go back to the bench and play 23 minutes or 25 minutes or 18 minutes and be not great. Like, fine, solid, pretty good, but not this overwhelming player. It's wild to me. How about Grimy?
This briefcase and this haircut.
Yeah. 38 minutes, 14, 9, and 6, 2 steals, 4 threes. We know he's going to start every game, but if Brunson's out, his minutes push up. And we can use him if that's the case. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but we can use him in that scenario. Only 28 minutes for Julius Randle. That's how you know it's a blowout. 26, 4, and 3 for him, and really strong percentages. While RJ Barrett had 19, 3, and 5, and only 20 minutes for Mitchie Robinson. But again, it's a blowout. Mitch had 3 and 6 with 3 blocks, while Hartenstein had 8, 6, and 6 with 2 steals. Good enough numbers there for Isaiah. He's at least a stream Hartenstein on the days when the Knicks play. Joshy Hart, 9 and 5, 2 steals, 2 blocks. So pretty good numbers right around. And again, we know it's a blowout because Obi Toppin played, what did he play? 21 minutes.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan.
Sorry, I can't read. He played 20 minutes. For the New York Knickerbockers. Let's do the next one. The Phoenix Suns get a very important victory here because Kevin Durant is likely back for them next game. Important to get this win over the Jazz before Durant returns. Booker played 34 minutes. They win 117-103. I should tell you that first. There was no Durant. Obviously, he will return next game, but DeAndre Ayton was back. He played 30 minutes, had 14 and 8. Not much there. Literally nothing else apart from 14 and 8, but it's not a bad game. Biyombo got the backup minutes over Jock Landale. Played 18 minutes, had 11 and 5, steal and a block. Actually a better fantasy game there than Ayton. Who would have known? So if you forgot to drop Biyombo, actually worked out all right. 27 minutes for Chris Paul, 9, 3, and 10, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Okay overall. And what we wanted to see was what had been happening with Terrence Ross and TJ Warren, who'd been playing mid-20s in minutes, high 20s in Warren's case without Ayton. And I speculated that maybe they were getting the extra minutes because they wanted the extra offense without Ayton there. Well, maybe. Because Ross played 15 minutes. He had 13 points, but down to 15. That takes him out of streaming discussions. Warren played 21 minutes, which is not bad, but it's still down, and he had 9 and 4. So we sort of take them off the 12-team stream board. And I think we just got to move on from Josh Okogie. 21 minutes, 9, 2, and 2. Durant's back next game. Torrey Craig had 4 points in 17 minutes. I think all of those guys are absolutely jacked.
Get that garbage out of here!
About 3 games ago, Landry Shamet played like 25 minutes, and I was like, what is going on here? He played 14 minutes here, went scoreless, because, again, he's not very good. So I don't know what that little experiment was, while Campaign was languishing playing 14, and now we got 21 Campaign minutes, 12, 3, and 5. And we saw a little bit more out of Wainwright as well, 9 and 7 in 18 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of mix and matching here for the Suns, I reckon, down the stretch, as they figure what happens with Kevin Durant. Does Okogie and Craig play more because of that defense that they can bring? Are they just going to eat into each other's playing time? Almost definitely. You do not have to hold Josh Okogie or Torrey Craig. You do not roster them in 12-team formats. It's got to be really deeper stuff to me to even care. Like, Okogie's 269th in 12-team or in category leagues over the last week, excluding today. And today he had 9, 2, and 2. Like, that's not good either. He's going to drop down. He's just not that good. We know that. For the Jazz, there was no Gay, there was no Fontecchio, there was no Clarkson, there was no Sexton. I don't know if Sexton or Clarkson return. I'm doubting it. Interestingly, Larry Markkinen did return 36 or 36 minutes, 25 and 9 with 2 threes. He shot 27%, which is rough. 11 of 12 from the line is really good. I wasn't sure that he was going to return. He did, and now I don't know what happens rest of season. I'm still waiting on Olynyk to sit down as well. 29 minutes, 10, 7, and 7. We keep rolling. Well, Walker Kessler is putting up some astonishing numbers. 18 and 8, 7 blocks, 80% shooting. Where he goes in drafts next season will be wild. Will he go second round, Hassan Whiteside style? I think there's a possibility of it. I don't think that I would take him there, but there is a possibility of it. Abaji, no shock to me that he struggled with Markkinen back. 9 points, all from threes, but that's what he is. He's a 3-point specialist who will get some extra touches at times if other guys sit down. 9, 4, and 1, 3 threes. While Horton Tucker, 16, 8, and 8. Now, you've got to be aware that he is going to absolutely urinate all over your percentages. 39 from the field on 18 attempts, 0 of 4 from the line. He is not a good player in the slightest. Not good at all. But with this role, we use him. Well, Chris Dunn, 9, 3, and 5. Nothing spectacular there. I still probably would hold Dunn. Especially while Sexton and Clarkson are. If they come back, then I lose my faith in him. They went away from Udoka Azubuike as the backup center and back to Damian Jones, who had 3 and 5 in his 18 minutes. But really, so much of what we're looking at here is just dependent on Clarkson and Sexton, and then what happens with Markkinen and Olynyk moving forward. I don't expect Sexton and Clarkson back. I'm up in the air about what the hell happens with Markkinen now. Abaji, that puts him definitely on the fringes because he's just not that very good when Markkinen's there. So, if you want other guys in, move on. No worries. I'm still holding Horton Tucker. I'd still roll with Dunn. Obviously, we're rolling with Kessler and Olynyk in this situation because they're just good. All right, the next game. What a stupid game this was. The Nuggets 116, the Sixers 111, and that actually tells you nothing about the game whatsoever. Oh, man, Harden, Embiid, Jokic, Murray. Well, actually, no, Harden and Embiid didn't play. Okay, well, man, wow. Well, should have been a blow. Well, actually, it was. But then it wasn't. The Sixers put in Jaden Springer, and the package delivered. The package! I don't know if he actually did deliver, but he was in the game when they started making a run. This game was like a 20-point blowout halfway through the fourth quarter. And then the Sixers got it to win 3 when Montrezl Harrell came in. And then there was a foul challenge, and if it had been overturned, the Sixers would have had a chance to tie the game. Just a stupid game. And the stupidity starts because of course he did. Of course he did. Doc Rivers, with Embiid out, said, you know what? We're going to start Dwayne Dedmon. Dedmon played only 10 minutes. He went scoreless. He did have 2 blocks. Cool. Great. Good for him. He was a minus 10 in those minutes. Why? Last game he played over Reed, and Doc's excuse was, oh, well, we've got him here. We've got to get him some playing time. You don't. You actually don't have to get him some playing time. And you definitely don't need to start him. It was Paul Reed who, again, did the damage. Shocker, I know. 17 minutes, 16 and 9, 2 steals and a block, 100% shooting. Why Doc will not trust this man, I do not know. I'm not saying that he needs to be playing 30 minutes a night because that's unrealistic. But to start Dwayne Dedmon is embarrassing. And I don't actually know if we take anything out of this game for the Sixers. I expect Harden and Embiid will play in their upcoming game. And we got Maxey having 29 with 5 assists and 3 steals. That's really good. Shake Milton had 0 of 7 shooting, which is obviously terrible. DeAnthony Melton was pretty bad as well. 7 points on 25% shooting with no threes. And this is the game you'd expect Melton to play better with no Harden. I think we still hold Melton. We don't add Milton, but there's just a lot of nonsense going on here. 22 minutes for Jalen McDaniels. Just 28 for Toby Harris. 16 and 5. This is a game that, again, it was a blowout. So he didn't play big chunks of the fourth quarter. Just a weird game. Look, we got 6 Montrezl Harrell and 6 Jaden Springer minutes. They just happened to bring them back into the game. Plus 11 they were. When they came in, the game turned, and I don't know what to make of it. Well, I know that we make nothing of it for fantasy. People will ask, what do you think about this, Josh? Embiid sitting this game against Jokic. It's the big matchup. It's frustrating for us for just viewing what these guys played against each other. This is not a Embiid's not choosing to play situation. I am a little bit worried about this calf problem. I don't know why he played that back-to-back. He's not even getting out there and shoot around. There's that much of a soreness issue with it. I'm a little concerned about it. I don't know if it means anything. He's going to miss more time moving forward, but it's not a Joel Embiid is ducking Nikola Jokic, and I don't actually give a shit at all about the MVP. I did put my MVP vote in the ESPN straw poll, which you'll see. Tim Bontemps does that where he surveys media members. I'm one of those. I don't have an official vote. NBA, if you're listening, give me an official NBA official awards vote. I'll do a good job, I promise. But I put my vote in for that before this game. This doesn't do anything about the MVP. It's just frustrating that we didn't get to see Embiid play. It's frustrating that he's hurt, and I actually think he is hurt. For the Nuggets, Big Chungus dropped in 25, 17, and 12 with 2 blocks because he's just he's Big Chungus. What do you expect? The Headmaster had 19, 5, and 7 with 2 steals. Aaron Gordon only 24 minutes. A little bit of a worry. They closed the game with Jeff Green over him. Is Gordon banged up? I think Gordon's been banged up for 2 months. I think since he teabagged Landry Shamet on Christmas Day, he hasn't been right. He had 12 and 4, 2 steals and a block. Not a bad game. But there's always seems to be something going on here. So I'd watch that one. While Maga Porter Jr. was on the injury report as rest for his heel, but he played and had 15 and 6. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, talk about stinking. 5 points, 1 rebound, a steal, and a block, 25%. He was hitting 48% of his threes for big chunks of the season. But you know what always hits you? Like reality. Hits you hard, bro. At a time and place you'll never know. It's very hard to roster him. With the way that he is playing, you can't. He was getting by on insane percentages with big steal numbers, and they don't play again until Thursday. So that's good. The Thursday game is good. It's a low volume day. So the Gordons and Browns and KCPs have value there. But if you want to get someone in for Tuesday, maybe you do it. It's not an outrageous decision to drop these players given the way that KCP is playing and the fact that they don't play now for 2 more days. Christian Brown was good, 8 points with 2 threes in 17 minutes, while Green, as I said, Jeffy played 24 minutes because Gordon seemed banged up. 8 points for Jeff in this one. Tom Bryant, Reggie Jackson, DeAndre Jordan, all the guys they brought in at various times this season to help them exactly 0. All right, next game on the slate. The Pelicans blow out the Blazers. We're going to hear that a lot, blow out the Blazers. So no need for big minutes for a lot of these guys. Valanciunas continues to just do stuff that... Imagine thinking of this 3 weeks ago with Valanciunas when he was barely playing.
Jonas Valanciunas.
10 and 21 with 2 blocks. They're just playing tons of minutes with him. Trey Murphy had 16. Herb Jones continues to struggle, but with Herb Jones, the value is in the volume. 7-2-4, 3 more quality games. Josh Richardson started out okay. 10 points, 2 threes, an assist, a block, 80% shooting, 3 more quality games. This is why we went with him. Ingram was great again, 29, 6 and 4. McCollum, 17, 1 and 8, 2 steals, 2 blocks. We love that. And then we had not much else going on. Najee Marshall had 8, which was all right. Dyson Daniels, 8, 3 and 4. Larry Nance, only 11 minutes. And Nance's minutes are well down. I still think you can look at Richardson, Jones, and Marshall as guys for the rest of the week with 3 more quality games. Maybe Nance is on the borderline there for 12s and maybe pushing into deeper leagues because they're just heavily relying upon Jonas Valanciunas. For the Blazers, Cam Reddish actually left this game with a back issue and there was no Trendon Watford. I still think Watford has some value, but again, if you're just desperate and we don't know that he's going to return, I get it. Drew Eubanks, 12 and 3, a steal and a block. He's worth having. Keon Johnson, what about this? 31 minutes, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Now, it obviously helps that this game was a blowout and that Cam Reddish went out. But if I'm in a 14-team league, Keon is on the menu. Kevin Knox played 32 minutes. 15, 5, and 3. That's not really 14. That's more 16. And Shaden Sharp started out poor, but ended up 12 and 8, a 3, a steal, 35 minutes, remains a must-roster player. Reddish had one of his better games before leaving with a back problem. I wouldn't bother adding him yet, while Archer Jacquino is starting in name only, as is apparently Matisse Thybulle, who played like 28 minutes last game and then played 14 minutes. 3 points for him. I would much rather have Keon Johnson over Archer Jacquino. As for Thybulle, all it is steals. He didn't have one here, which is annoying, and the minutes are frustrating pretty clearly. He had a block, but you don't expect anything else. He's not a guy that's going to ramp it up with big usage like Sharp or like even Nasir Little, who was rough here, 7, 2, and 3. I don't think that he's a 12-team league guy outside of the occasional stream if Watford happens to be out. This team is going to be messy all season. We're still looking at Sharp and Eubanks as 12-team league players. Watford when he returns, and then Keon Johnson has a chance to push into that. I'm not certain that he's there just yet. It's going to be messy. Be prepared for it. The Minnesota Timberwolves spoil the Kings' party. They cannot clinch their playoff berth. They'll do it pretty soon, I'm sure. Minnesota wins. They're actually looking really good. 119, 115, back-to-back wins here in the Bay Area. Well, not the Kings aren't the Bay Area, but Northern California. after knocking off the Warriors yesterday. No Karl Anthony Towns. So old mate Kyle Anderson, 15, 4 and 11, 2 steals, 50% shooting, continues to be just an excellent guy to have. And I would still hold even next game. Gobert, 16, 16, 2 blocks. He's actually putting up some okay numbers at the moment. Jaden McDaniels, after playing 10 minutes last game, played 39 here. Had 20 points with 2 steals. We love to see that from him. Nazareth Reed, the Wizard of Noz, 18 points, 21 minutes. A steal, a block. He is providing 12-team value. I don't know that it's going to happen every game when Towns is there, but I think we go with it. Edwards is struggling with efficiency, 17, 5 and 7 in his second game back. He played 39 minutes, which is huge on a back-to-back, but 40% on 15 attempts from the field hurts, and 4 of 8 from the line. Gross. This is the sort of shit that he was serving up to begin the season when he was really quite poor. Interestingly, Nikola Alexander Walker, only 10 minutes, while Conley had 16 points in 28. For the Kings, Fox returned, 29, 4 and 6 for De'Aaron. And we knew it was going to happen at some point, but Keegan Murray stunk. He'd been playing well, and he stunk. 3 points, 28 minutes, 13% shooting. And despite your Kings fans will blow this guy up, no problem. Like, they'll talk so much how good he is. He's going to break the rookie record for threes. He's still the 148th ranked player in fantasy leagues in categories, and he's outside the top 150 in points leagues. He was having a nice little run, but still 135th over the last week. He's probably someone you want to roster, but there's so much that lacks in his game that does make it tough. Fanapants had 13 points, not a great game from Herter, while Sabonis had 24 and 10, big numbers there. Good scoring from Monk, and he played 27 minutes. It's very, very hard to rely upon Malik Monk, though. 12 points, 27 minutes. You stream when you need, and you just don't have to hold. Davion Mitchell went from starting to playing 13 minutes. The final game of the night. Pretty interesting stuff in this one, I thought. The Bulls and the Clippers. The Clippers win at 124-112. No Caruso on the back-to-back. So we had Pat Williams starting, and it was actually a good Pat Williams game. That brings him up to 164th over the last week. Yeah. 16 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, and a block. It took 88% shooting to get there. I don't buy in. I don't care. I'm not adding in 12-team leagues. Kobe White continues to get good minutes. Now, the shooting was bad, 7 points on 8 shots, but he had 5 assists, but he's playing good minutes. He's at least streamable for points and threes. Levine, 23, 5 and 3 with no peripherals. Vooch had 20 and 8 with 5 assists, and DeRozan 21, 5 and 7. Not really much to take away from those guys. Dosunmu continues to do nothing, while Beverly had 3 threes, 2 steals, a block, which is good enough, I think, to be a 12-team hold. But the interesting thing was with the Clippers, Marcus Morris was out due to illness, and they started Nico Batum, and that is what they'll continue to do. Post-game, Ty Lue said, yeah, look, Marcus is not going to be our starter anymore. It's going to be old mate Nico Batum. That makes an interesting thing for fantasy people, because we're going to look at this and go, holy shit. Like Nick Batum, 24 points, 8 triples, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. That's not what Batum does. He's at 80% shooting here, and it was 80% from 3. But if he's playing 30 a night, which I don't know that he is, I don't mind the ad on him. They have another quality game coming this week, I believe. Yes, they play Saturday, when only 4 teams do. And I did see somewhere, and I'm just going to try and find this, but I did see somewhere that, and I don't know if it's actually real or not, that Morris wouldn't actually be in the rotation. Let me just double check that. Got to find that tweet from, Sources, Nico Batum is expected to start for the Clippers for the remainder of the regular season, with Bob Covington taking his spot as the backup 4-5. So that means Marcus Morris out of the rotation. Good. He hasn't been good enough to be in the rotation. So there's something interesting. Batum's 72nd over the last week, in large portion because of this game. But there's something there. The big stiffy, Bones Highland, he's worth rolling with until Norm Powell returns. 13, 2 and 8 with 3 steals. Eric Gordon had 22 points, a nice points and threes guy. And we had Terrence Mann do very little. Had 4 assists in 26 minutes, but he's just not doing enough. Stinking free throw night from Zubats, 1 of 5 from the line. Overall, his game wasn't particularly good, just 11 and 7, while Covington played 11 minutes. So we're not adding Covington, but there's definitely a level of intrigue here now. If he is the backup and getting regular minutes, then there is going to be some deeper league intrigue for him. Russell Westbrook, 12, 5 and 10. 3 steals is good. Missed all his free throws, which is fucking terrible. While Kawhi had 22, 7 and 6 with a steal and a block. But a very interesting development to see Ty Lue, who usually does make the adjustments, and it just takes him too long. This one took 70 games too long, but he usually gets to the right spot eventually. Let's hope that this leads the Clippers to some better stuff. The monstrous line of the night. It goes to Immanuel Quickley of the New York Knicks. The waiver wire line of the night is Nico Batum. Your young gun is Jaden Ivey. And the dud of the night is the wave pool, D'Anthony Melton. Your top 10 players in category leagues. Number 1 is Immanuel Quickley, followed by Jokic, Batum, Ivey, Brook Lopez, Kawhi Leonard, Walker Kessler, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and Jaden Hardy. Three Mavericks in a row. Top 10 players rostered in under 50% of leagues. Nico Batum at 1. I don't mind it. I'm a little skeptical, but I don't mind it. Jaden Hardy's a good point streamer. Quentin Grimes, we stream in if Brunson is out. Paul Reed, if Embiid is out. And it doesn't appear that Embiid is a certainty to play on Wednesday. Eric Gordon's worth having, I think. Patrick Williams, no thanks. Bones Highland, yes, for the short term. Javon Carter, maybe for Wednesday as well. Isaiah Hartenstein, not bad. And then Keon Johnson, yeah, really interesting from Keon. Definitely like it in 14s, maybe in 12s. And your top 10 players in points leagues, Jokic, Quickley, Kessler, Lopez, Maxey, Ivy, Middleton, Doncic, Gobert, and Devin Booker. And that will do it for me today, guys. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And if you're here on YouTube, you thumb it up and you leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.